Alright, thanks for clicking. My name's Chris, and if you hear a slight buzz noise, it is my fan going in my GoPro. So I tried to do the video without the fan running because I just don't know if it can be heard or not, but it overheated, and then I'm sitting here talking to myself, so I had to put the fan in. It gives me like 30 minutes and then it overheats. So I guess I went over my allotted time, but once the fan's in it, it just runs forever, as long as I need it to. If you're interested in how I do that, I have a video up of where to get the fan and how I did it. So this video is on my DJI Air 2. I've come up with a way to do 2 batteries, and also I'm working on antennas, trying to have a external antenna so I can be somewhere away from all the bugs when I'm out four-wheeling and doing stuff like that. So on the controller, I added 2 connectors. This is really easy to do. There's 2 screws. This isn't removable, so there's 2 screws under it. You just kind of work your screwdriver, and then there's 2 in the back, and then it just unsnaps. There's a metal part you have to take off, and then the connectors are right there, and these just plug in to the connectors. So there's videos on how to take these controller apart and do that. So I tried these. Now I got this off Amazon. These bases don't come with antennas, so you have to buy the antenna separate. So these were supposed to be good antennas. They were rated pretty good. They were advertised for 2.4 to 5.8, so they should be in the range and work for this, but they do not. This alone gets, or this one gets 8,000 feet, and these get 2,000 feet, and the video is kind of weird on them, so it's not transmitting very good at all for those ones. I tried these, and these get 2,000 feet, so same thing. They were advertised to work at those frequencies. I tried these antennas just on the controller, same results. So the base and wire wasn't a factor. It was the exact same. The only one that did halfway decent was this one. The antenna is not removable, so this one did 4,000 feet, and the video was alright with it, so it could be used. But I think what's happening is these ones are all between like 6 and 12 dB gain, and this I think must be higher. It must be in the 20s, so that would explain why these don't have the range, because they're not as amplified as these ones are. I do have amplifiers, but I wouldn't use them on this because I live in Tucson. I would have to go way out to the middle of nowhere to actually try those out. Tucson's where they're making the program and the equipment to monitor these, and they already got the stuff up, and you can watch videos on them talking about it, and they say they can see your video and take over your quad and control it. So that's not cool that they're doing that, but that is what they're doing. So that's that. On to the batteries. So there's 3 different ways I think that you can do batteries to get extra time. On eBay, I don't know if they're still selling them, but they were selling batteries that are sitting on top of each other, and they got on-off switch. So all you have to do is plug it in, and I think they're naked batteries like this that they've wrapped and the switch is on top. Those would probably work pretty good. They advertise like 40 minutes or so. I would say it's probably closer to 36 to 38 from what I've seen from what I'm doing. But it depends on what batteries they're using and if they're brand new batteries. But one thing I've noticed is there is a discrepancy in these batteries. I bought these on Amazon and they're actually different. So, and I just found out why they're different. But this one has a hover time of 27 minutes and this one has a hover time of 24 minutes, which is the same as my two older batteries that I've had for a couple years. But this battery that gets 27 minutes is a 11.4 volt, so it's low voltage, and it has something like a 3750 milliamp, I think that's what it was. This print's so small I can't really see it. I have to like really focus. Well, that's what it was anyway. This is the kind that normally come with it. I think that's 3500 milliamp and 11.55 volts. So, but the one thing I noticed is this one, they have different, I'm going to move the camera real quick. Alright, so hopefully you can see this okay. But these are different. And if you can see, one says UK on it. So one is like an American battery, and then one appears to be from the UK. Or at least that's what I'm thinking. So that would explain the difference in batteries. So if you order the $48 batteries, they work decent, but you don't know what you're gonna get. I guess you should hope that you get a UK battery because they apparently last longer. So that's the first way, is to find those ones they're selling on eBay where they have them stacked. Those ones I imagine work pretty good. The other way is the way I see them doing on the internet, where they're just using a hobby grade battery. This is probably the worst way to do it because it's a hobby grade battery and it's not as good as the one DJI's made. But this is actually a high voltage battery, so it's 11.4 volts. So I only found two batteries like this that were high voltage, that were kind of small. This, and I don't know if it was on Amazon or if it was on one of the Chinese sites, but this one's on Amazon. So, and they use this connector. So on eBay they sell a connector like this. Theirs is kind of like mine, but theirs is like the battery right here. But they have like two of them stacked, so I don't know why, but I wouldn't do it that way, because these batteries, especially the low voltage ones, they don't even last close to as long as the DJI ones. So I don't use these for this. I did make one, so I have one I can use. It has the plug on it, and I charge it by using alligator clips. So and then plugging it in like normal. But like I said, this has to be charged on the high voltage. There should be two settings for LiPo battery. So if you charge it on the regular setting, it just won't charge up all the way. So that's that. And so now that battery I use as a battery bank. So this came with the copter. I didn't know what it was for the longest time. I thought it was to charge up the battery, so I never paid attention to it, but now I found that it is a battery bank. It turns the battery into a battery bank, so that's pretty cool. But it's also $11, and with a Dremel tool it can be cut up and made into one of these. Or to make this, you could use this right here, which basically it's the end of this. So this only charged one battery at a time. I bought a nicer one that charges all four at once, and the controller and whatever else I plug into it. So I sacrificed this. So the way I made this was in here. There's no battery because I take them out of the case. So this is the cover, and to do this you have to take away some plastic here, kind of smooth that out right there, and then you have to take away this little part where it would grab onto the circuit board, but you want to leave that part right there. It's just this little piece of plastic right there on both sides, because otherwise it'll grab the circuit board and pull it out, the battery. So this way it holds it where it should be, and doesn't pull the battery out. So the way I did this, and I'll show this things that I purchased on Amazon, but if you can see the connector in there, I didn't use the slot on either side of the sensor wires. Those two in the middle are non-voltage, so can't touch them. So it's just, I think, 4 pins on the outsides, and it's pretty easy. This copper is 1 millimeter thick. I'll show where I bought it, what it is. Basically I just cut little slats into it with wire cutters, and then I fitted them right there, and then I used the battery to push it down in, and then a small screwdriver to finish pushing it all the way down and straightening out all the little connectors. So pretty easy to do. Soldered this onto that, and then this is hot glue. I just made the base out hot glue, so the hot glue shouldn't hurt this, and it's on there. I mean, I can take it off. If you ever worked with hot glue, it's not totally permanent, but it won't just come off. So that's how I do that. And then the battery. So the battery is not that hard to get out. If I was gonna do this again, because if you do it the way I've done it, you're gonna destroy this case anyway by cutting off the front. So to get the battery out, there's tape here and there's tape here. I worked it out with this little tool I made. That right there. It was a feeler gauge, one of my feeler gauges. In fact, it was 0.2 or 0.5 millimeter. So I broke this one, so you have to be careful with them. I think the thickest one works the best, but that just would go in like this, and then you kind of tug it up. And then the video I seen of them taking it out, they actually poured a solution in here, and I think it was rubbing alcohol. So they poured it in on both sides and probably swished it around, and they were able to pull it out pretty easily. But if I was to do this again, I would just cut with probably wire cutters. I would just cut around the whole thing. You're probably going to destroy it anyway, so it'd be a whole lot easier to just cut this case part off. and then just pull the bottom off. So that's how I do it if I was going to make another battery. So the front part is right there. I clipped it right back on, so that makes it go in good. This piece of padding, I believe, was on the back, so I took it off here and put it on there. And I think this little square pad was in there, so this is needed too. So don't throw that away if you make one. And then the button goes just right there on the side. Just gotta be careful not to put too much glue, because the cover will snag on the glue if there's too much of it. I gotta cut off some of mine, but it has to be right there. And then if it's right there and this little bit of material is removed from right in here, then it won't hit anything when it's in there. It goes like so. So you can clearly see it's nowhere near the, well, I don't know if you can clearly see, but it's nowhere near the case. The case can't turn it off. Even if it got hit on the side, it can't turn it off. And I did crash it like this into a bush. It only damaged my rotors, but a couple of my rotors. So it goes in like this, like normal, and then I can put this case on like normal, and it's just like, and that's how I crashed it like this. This is really the safest way to do this, because that's in there in case anything happens. And then to use the second battery, I would just put it on like so. I don't have the piece of Velcro, but I have a little piece of Velcro that goes all the way around, and then I hold it on, I mean, whatever way you want to mount it, but I use a piece of thin, I think it's like probably that thin Velcro, and it works really good. It only covers the light, so that's not a big deal to cover the light up. So that's how I do that. And then that way, I think when I did my range or my test, I think this is how I had it. But anyway, I'll show the other way. So if you want maximum time, this little cover doesn't weigh that much, but maximum time would be not having that on, and that's where this little pad comes in. And then this goes on, sits on the pad, and then Velcro it in. And then the Velcro has no chance of hitting the button. The buttons in there pretty good. So that's how I do it that way. And so with these older batteries, one battery will get 20 minutes, and that's actual flight time. I was just flying. It was constantly flying when I was timing it, and so it got 20 minutes, and then I did it with both batteries, and I got 30 minutes. So I think it would do better if I had brand new batteries. I definitely, if I had 2 of these UK batteries, would probably do really good. But that's how I do that. And then the other way that it could be run is with one of these regular batteries. It's the standard battery, and then that can be Velcroed on there. So it can be run like normal. I think this is the best way to do it. I get an extra 10 minutes, and I haven't really changed anything. I can use the the normal standard batteries, which work better than the other batteries. So that is the best way to do it if you can figure out how to make this and get it on and everything. And one other thing with taking this apart, I ruined one of these batteries because I forgot that this wire connects right here. So as soon as I pried it apart, I kind of yanked it and it just pulled this wire right out here. It's really easy. So there's 4 screws that hold this on. Otherwise it's kind of clipped in a little bit, so you have to kind of pry it up from this side. But then you want to just hold it as you're opening it and undo this button right away. So it's got some like padding over it, and then there's 2 screws, and then this comes off. And then when taking this apart, you have to push this part. Just take a little screwdriver and get it in here. The circuit board's here, and there's a little piece of padding right here, so you shouldn't hit the circuit board, but you just have to pry in here a little bit and push this black thing in. You can't take the battery out without pushing this up in first, and then you have to keep it pushed in to get the battery out. So that's how that's done. Okay, so now I'll show where I purchased some of the things you would need to do this. So these are the batteries I've purchased. They work about as good as 2-year-old batteries, maybe a little bit better, but for 48 bucks they work pretty good. And then this part could be used to make the second battery port, as it's $11, so that's pretty good. And then this is the copper sheet roll that I used. I got 1mm thickness, so that's what I used. In my next video, I'm gonna be discussing my glasses that I use. I don't use DJI goggles. They mess around too much, and so I would have to have the older goggles, I think, to use this. I looked at the new ones and I didn't like them. They were uncomfortable. The diopters are too small. Those are the brand new ones with the little round ones. They didn't work for me. I couldn't. And I don't recall the screen size being much bigger than what I'm using now, which the screen size is pretty decent. It's about like looking at a 50-inch screen from like 4 feet away. I mean, it's decent sized. I can see everything. It's still fun to use. I think it's much fun to use than the goggles. It's just too hot for me here to be using those, unless I was inside my truck, I guess, but my truck doesn't have AC, so that wouldn't work out. So I have a different way of doing it, a different system, and it also works for my remote control truck. So what I use has a lot of different uses. So I'm gonna be doing a video on that next. Also, I just bought a Talaria Stinger R. So it was pre-ordered. I'm supposed to get it Friday. I've already ordered a bunch of stuff for it because that's just what I do. So I got a wrap for it. I'm going to do my own wrap on it, and hopefully it works good, and hopefully it'll be good for me because I'm right at its weight limit. But my plan for that is I have a really capable truck. I have a Nissan Pathfinder. I've been building it for years. It can go anywhere. It's got air lockers front and rear. I've changed the gear ratio on it. It does really good, and for extreme stuff I would take the truck, but I'm hoping that I can just go park the truck and then use the bike to get to where I want to go. I'm going to start doing some adventure stuff, but I've got a whole bunch of abandoned stuff that's around Tucson and Phoenix that I'm going to start going to, and that bike's going to be really useful for getting to it, because I wouldn't be able to get to these places with my truck because of the pesky fences. So I'd be able to get by the fences with the bike, and otherwise I'd have to hike in, and I don't mind hiking, but I'd rather ride the bike. So hopefully that's going to work out for me. I'll probably do a video on it, but everyone's already done unboxings and all of that. But I will do a video on the wrap that I got, because it's not your pre-made wrap. I'm going to have to do the whole thing. So that's what's coming up. So if that interests you, subscribe and hit the notification, and the video on the glasses should be in the next, well, that Talari is arriving, so I'm hoping that I'll get it done tomorrow, because once that bike gets here, that's going to take precedent over all my other stuff. So that's what's coming up. Thanks for watching.